Republican senators calling on the White House to permanently freeze the $6 billion in Iranian oil money that was unfrozen in order to get back prisoners from Iran in a U.S.-Iranian prisoner swap. The United States, Fox Business has confirmed that the U.S. and Qatar have agreed not to transfer any of that money for now after the devastating Hamas attacks on Israel. The White House not confirming that and says that they have no direct evidence tying Iran to these attacks. Now, the New York Times backing up what the Wall Street Journal first reported. General Petraeus and I were just talking about this. Very specific reporting from both of those papers outlining involvement that Iranians were involved, reporting, quote, Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of Hezbollah, held an hours-long online meeting in March with an elite group of strategists from all the Iran-backed militias and told them to get ready for a war with Israel with a scope and reach, including a ground invasion that would mark a new era, according to participants from Iran and Syria. So with that, let's bring in Louisiana Senator John Kennedy, who is part of the Judiciary and Appropriations, Budget and Banking Committees. Senator, always good to have you with us. Thank you very much for being here. The breaking news that we're following right now is what has happened to a hospital in Gaza City. In Gaza, Hamas is blaming Israeli forces, the IDF, for that bomb. And they are saying that they do not target hospitals, and they're looking into whether or not it might have been a Hamas misfire. Your thoughts on what this could mean for what comes next in this conflict, Senator?
Well, I reject the proposition that Hamas is free to intentionally target Israeli children and women, but Israel somehow morally is not entitled to defend itself and go after Hamas. Yes, there are casualties. They're unintended casualties because Hamas is refusing to allow many of the Palestinians to leave. I think we need to ask ourselves, though, Martha, why are we here? And I think we have to be honest with ourselves. America has a president who is not a defense hawk. America has a president whose administration is, frankly, more interested in discussing whether a man can breastfeed than it is in talking about national security. Put yourself in the shoes of our enemies, Russia and Iran and China. What do they see? They see an America whose president cut and run from Afghanistan. Our enemies see an America whose president refuses to give Ukraine the weapons it needs to win. Our enemies see an America whose president refuses to enforce the sanctions on Iranian oil, and indeed has tried to give the Iranians over not $6 billion, but $10 billion. I could continue, but the point is our enemies have included that America has a president who's a bit of a weenie on national defense, and she and Putin and the Ayatollah think they can roll over him like thunder on a summer night. And that's, I think, why we're here. Peace through weakness never works. These are hard men. They interpret being a nice guy, quoting Socrates to them, they interpret that as a weakness. And that is what this administration has been doing. It's been quoting Socrates to our enemies when we're in a bar fight. That's the way I see it.
All right, Senator, let me ask you about a piece of Senate business or an issue that is before the Senate, and that is the Senator Menendez situation, because it's relevant to what we're discussing right now, because he has been accused of conspiracy with Egypt, essentially, accepting gifts from Egyptians. And there's a lot of discussion about arms in those, weapons in part of those deals, and bribery and all of it, acting as a foreign agent for Egypt is sort of in the basket of what's being discussed here. And John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania, sent this out today on social media saying, would it be awkward to attend a classified briefing on Israel when you've been accused of being a foreign agent for, let's say, a country like Egypt, asking for a friend, he says. What do you say to that?
Well, my understanding is that Senator Menendez has stepped down from his role in on the Foreign Relations Committee. And in light of the recent amendment to his indictment, I would be very surprised if he either attends or is allowed to attend any of our secure briefings.
Do you believe that he needs to step down, or are you comfortable with him remaining as a senator since he's stepped away from those responsibilities?
Well, I think everybody's innocent until proven guilty. If I were in his shoes, I would probably step down, but that's a decision he's got to make.
Okay. Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, thank you very much, sir. Always good to have you with us.
You bet.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.